welcome back to Hobbit Racing for the last part, the third part, the track testing here. We got some track testing and we also got some fine tuning to deal with as far as that crown gear and that guide situation that I came across as well. But all in all, very exciting. Some good footage here on the track, and just this car came out amazing. So we're kind of performing surgery here. We're putting it back together. It's like a total gooseneck replacement. I'll call it that. That was a CG adapter with the little flippers to address a guide deficiency on some other cars to put their standard adapters on there. But you'll notice this Ninco guide has 3 layers to it, this Ninco gooseneck. One that's the layer of the chassis, one that's below the level of the chassis, and another where the gooseneck is even deeper than the chassis. So my original plan, I had taken a SP101001 guide and I had stacked 3.020 spacers and glued them, and then the 4th one was floating to create the frictionless point with oil, and it's just too loose. I don't like it. So I'm going to put the tiniest little bit of glue around the backside of that and drop it down my spindle that I've created to get that straight 3.5, 3.6 millimeters. And I'm just going to put the slightest amount of glue on there just to get it to attach. Then when I'm done, I'll follow up around the gooseneck, and yeah, we'll see how this works. So I'm hoping I made an amazing slot car even better. So you can see here in the light the piece of the CG adapter that I put on there. There's the 3D part, perfectly aligned with the shaft, gooseneck hole. The shaft, I'll be all right. And there is the shaft itself right here. And now we're cut to height. Done all of the fine tuning on this already to come right into play, and we have a much better ride height of the car now. The guide is almost flush even without relief, which means it's going to go down a little bit with the relief, but there's braids on there. So overall, this is going to be amazing, and we've got some weight that we're about to test out in the car, as you can see as well. In the light here, we've got about 4.5 to 5 grams of weight right there. Well, we've gone through the major updates here since running a 5069 in yellow and a 537 in blue. So this car is just ready to rock. We've got the updated guide that I dealt with, more than adequate snapback. We've got some weight inside the car. We've got about 4.5 grams of weight up front. And then just for good measure, that set screw was already stripping out, so I replaced it. All right, in any event, something tells me I either made it better or I made it worse. So let's see. I'm gonna go right back to where I was last night, which was 8 and 8, because the car was just performing great. All right, let's see what happens. Don't like the sound of that brake, of that crown suddenly. Well, let's see. We might be replacing that gear. Let's see what happens, folks. Yeah. Oh yeah, that gear is getting replaced. That gear is definitely getting replaced. I will see. I do not like the sound of that. That is how you wear out pinions. Wow. That's just terrible gear lash. And I'm running 5.4s. Let's just try and see if I can't get into the 5.3s or if it's the gear, because I've added weight and I was trying to figure out if it was going to help me maintain to be more planted. So I was driving kind of crazy, which it does, but then again, ugh. Coasting to a 5.45 after I ran a 5.34. Let's hope there isn't some voodoo going on with that awful Ninco gear that is clearly out of round. Because if I can run a 5.34 with a bad gear that everybody could probably hear through this microphone, I mean, I don't have to do too much but come close and go like this. That is not a good gear lash sound. Oh, there it was. It catches. Let's take a moment. So this should be it for this effort. A very, very nice effort here. So in review, short of my touch-up and painting of the red mirrors, and I will not slice into this fin on both sides. There's too much in the way. That'll be the only change to the outside of the car. And you can see the beautiful lines and the beautiful way that car should look with those 12-spoke inserts from NSR and the NSR wheels. And then we'll go over the tune in brief here. NSR screws with no threads on the shoulders for body float. And then now it's almost a case of what haven't we changed, short of the chassis and the axles and the motor pod. I think that's about it. Short of the chassis, the axles, and the motor pod. And the fact that we left the magnet for a little bit of weight. I did take advantage of this wire management system. It helped me actually keep these wires pretty low in the front, and they don't get fouled up on the underside of the body. So that was nice that that worked out well. Working our way back, we have the modified gooseneck now with only one single guide spacer, 0.020 of an inch guide spacer. And then we have the rest of that CG adapter piece. And so it's beautiful. It's superb. It's really and really truly, it's really truly, you can't, I mean, this guide is a rock. It is not moving, and we get our action as we expect. So that's really, really great stuff there. So kind of SP 101001 guide with the screw that comes with it, the eyelets that comes with it, NSR super soft braid, the NSR 17x8, and then as you can see now, like we would have expected, because there's no, I'm not on the relief side of the slot car corner tuning block, we're free to spin, as we would hope, because we are not in the relief. This is the stock axle. We're all the way up to the top of the axle blocks, and that's pretty much where that is. NSR 5202, 19x10 zero grip tires. Love the way they're wearing in. Looks great. Again, we've got the inserts from NSR here as well. Making our way down the back of the car, we've got the 17x10 with CB58s. Quick slicks on the rear, and then we've changed out to the slotted 24 tooth crown. I can't recall, but that's a brass 9-tooth. It could be the original one. Listen, as long as it was manufactured well, a brass pinion should not be that complicated, as long as I didn't damage it from the crown that I replaced, and I don't think it was damaged. Then we have our MX-16, our 23,000 RPM motor rated at 12 volts, 170 grams of torque. And then we have our CG motor adapter that allows us to put short can motors in a long can motor pod. And then we've replaced with 2 of the screws that don't have threads on the shoulders so that our suspension is active. The only drawback about this active suspension that I have noted is, even though you have a pivot point that you can loosen from the underside of the car, you can't make adjustments to this unless you take the body off of the car. I think I've got it in a pretty good spot, needless to say, and you can get action out of it. And then we have about 1.7 grams here, and then we have about 3.75 grams here. Yeah, don't knock the Ninco. Even though much of this car is no longer a Ninco, but the base of the car is. The chassis is a Ninco, the motor pod is a Ninco, the bushings are a Ninco, and you know, maybe that pinion is maybe that pinion is as well. And hey, it's the body, you know, it's that livery that I was going for in the first place. I'd already done one from Slotted, so I already knew the trials and tribulations I was going to go through with that and an angle winder. And lastly, the only thing that I will point out is it's a slot car. So for those of you that might have said in my opening, well, you kind of ignored some of the things that you said were slightly unique to the slot car world when they make these bodies. Yes, this right here protrudes. It's historically the same that I believe that NSR did with theirs. This allows you to have the motor come through. And then over here on this side, you'll note where the crown gear can sit on this side of the car, where there's clearly a rounded portion right here for the crown gear. And so that's okay. It is what it is. You've got to be able to put slot car components inside the car. So I'm going to go try and break some records with this car on the track. All right, well, 24 tooth gear is a 24 tooth gear until it's not. So we have the slotted gear in here now, and hopefully it hasn't taken away, only adding to the performance here. So let's see if I can't beat that 5.34 in blue with a bunk crown gear. Well, when you're running easy 5.4s in blue, that's never a bad thing. And I mean easy 5.4s. there you go. I tried to push it. I tried to push it right there and see what I could do. Our first rollover onto the quadruple antenna. Let's see what I did to the quadruple antenna, if anything. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Good. Yeah, I'm just running easy, and I'm trying to push it to see that the guide is helping me out, and it indeed is. I'm going to turn the brake up just marginally here as I hit it in the opposite direction as I put my thumb down. Turn the brake up marginally past 8 o'clock. Well, I'll tell you one thing that's with absolute certainty that I love about this car now that I really dealt with the guide. The guide is so rock solid that I'm overdriving the car in certain spots, swinging the tail around just to see what's happening. And I'm almost full throttle once I just let off for a blip at the hairpin hill climb. I'm almost back full throttle before I even make my way past the Union 76 signs. So that is really, really awesome. And I'll try and make that fun sound happen on TrackMate. I'm coming close. But I'm not quite getting it there. So we'll see. There it is. Go for 2 in a row? Not quite. Overdriving it just a fraction. Overdriving it and running a 5.36. Well, there's a 5.330 so far. I still don't like how rattly the car is. I'm never going to be able to get over something like that. There's really not much we can do. Listen to that against my microphone on my shirt collar here. That's another reason why this car is so loud, quite frankly. We're talking about the reverberations of everything on there that is plastic and then some. And I'd much rather have a quieter car, but there's not a lot we can do about that at the moment. That's just the way that chassis is going to be. I'm going to come up to 830 on the brake since we're on an inside lane. And let's have some fun and then wrap this up, because this is going to be me getting in mode here and see what I can't do. Well, there's a 5076. So she ain't slow. She ain't slow, folks. I would love to run a 503, considering I ran a 5033 in blue. Am I going to get there? Maybe. Maybe if I knock the edges off the tires. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of bite right here and right here while I'm trying to get back on the throttle and blip through that 8-foot wide sweeper. Probably only 6 feet wide when it comes to the yellow lane, but that's what makes it sharper, both in turn and the sharp edge hurting me. So I'll give one more clean of the tires and let's see what I can do here. See if I can't beat that 5076. Turn the brake up just a hair so I can stay on it even longer in the corners. that may be it for the time being. There's nothing wrong with that. Trust me when I say running a 507 in yellow with any car, there's no complaints. There's no complaints right there. So there you have it. The Ninco 50606. I knew I'd get it one of these times. This is the Le Mans winning Audi R18 from 2012. Modified slightly for class compliance with the motor, but overall, the wheels, for sure, in my opinion, make a huge difference. The guide implementation that I did makes a huge difference. You can now see that the guide easily sits lower into the relief of the track. And just a beautiful, beautiful car. Well, I can't say enough about this car, really and truly. First time I've ever done a Ninco car, and I really had a vision for the livery. And you know, it's the closest thing you can do. They're not the 15-spoke wheels. You know, the Slotted does do some 15-spoke wheels with the R18s that they do. These are the NSR ones, but at the end of the day, I wanted to put NSR wheels on this because I knew what I could get. I had a vision and hoped, and it came true. And what an outstanding performer! It's only going to get faster, so I really, really look forward to running this car for years to come. So if you like this kind of content, subscribe, hit us up, hit that notification button, and you'll find out when more videos come out from Hobbit Racing. So thanks for watching.
If you don't subscribe to Hobbit Racing, I'll poke you with my staff. Pokey, pokey, pokey. She will poke you with her staff. Pokey!